Hello, I'm Dr. Ron with Impact Ministries. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking on the watermark located in the bottom right corner of this video. I want to start a series called Impact Moments. I just want to do brief teachings and show you in God's Word some aspects of His nature and what He imparts to us in order to continue to solidify our identity, purpose, and destiny. I feel it's important for every believer to understand their biblical identity, purpose, and destiny. Why is that? Because we're all created for impact. We're all created to impact the world around us. We're all created to impact our families. We're all created to bless and to make the world a better place. So when we look at the teachings of Jesus, He was consistently releasing the identity and the purpose and the destiny of His people living in this new revelatory kingdom that He came to build. We'll be in the book of Matthew chapter 6, and much of chapter 6 and 7 has to do with this topic of prayer. Prayer is a topic you could teach on for years and never exhaust all of the information on it. But he teaches His disciples very plainly, very distinctly. He wanted them to know some basic concepts of what prayer is, when to pray, and what prayer is really for. He modeled the behavior of the everyday believer. Jesus is perfect theology, and He's actually the most normal Christian that's ever been documented. How is this, you may say? Well, He went about healing the sick, raising the dead, cleansing lepers, restoring humanity to their rightful place as heirs and as God's children. And He turned to His disciples one day and said, "Greater things than these will you do." Very encouraging. And at some point, we would like to get to those base things that He did on an everyday basis in His ministry, and we'll get there as long as we continue to lean into our assignment. That's what the Great Commission is all about. Contained in the Great Commission is our assignment to go into all the world, to preach the gospel, to make disciples, to heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse lepers, and cast out demons. It's our assignment. And as a church body, we continue to get better at it. Now, in the book of Matthew, chapter 6, He says this: "When you pray, don't be like the hypocrites, who love to pray publicly on street corners and in the synagogues where everyone can see them. I tell you the truth, this is all the reward they will ever get. But when you pray, go away by yourself, shut the door behind you, and pray to your Father in private. Then your Father, who sees everything, will reward you." He starts out in teaching about prayer, and He introduces to them this inward desire that we all carry. I haven't met very few people who wouldn't honestly enjoy public honor. We're built to impact others. We're built to influence people around us. It's an inward desire to be valued by others. So He was careful to teach them not to utilize prayer in order to gain external value, or he was careful to tell them, don't use prayer to draw attention to yourself, only to build your own public significance. We're all significant to God, but oftentimes in our lives we carry a endowment of insecurity, and we seek honor and we seek value from others in a way that can sometimes become unhealthy. Jesus imparted to them that your Father, He will see what you're doing in secret. He will see the prayers that you offer up to Him, and He will reward you. He told them, make sure you don't use prayer as a method of building your own personal public significance. It should be about relationship. Prayer should always first and foremost be about your conversations that you have with your Father. This Father that He was revealing to them, this Father that they hadn't known before, this Father that in the Old Testament was revealed to them under 16 different Hebrew names, but He had actually come to reveal the Father and His nature and put on display and actually demonstrate the character and behavior of this Father. The Father loves to teach us to steward. It's one of His characteristics. It's part of His nature. And before we can develop the weight-carrying capacity for public honor, He actually trains us in the private moments with our families. He's actually very interested in us learning how to carry a certain measure of value and honor in public, but He trains us in private. He trains us in leadership in our families first and foremost. He wants to see how we steward our families. He wants to see how we are in those private moments with our children. He wants to see how we are in those private moments with our spouse when there's a conflict and it has to be resolved through love and communication. Seeking public honor before we have the weight-carrying capacity for it, it's very dangerous. Oftentimes in our development as a believer, we love to dream big, and we all should dream big. He actually wants us to dream big. He wants to fulfill our dreams and give us everything that is in our hearts. But it's important that we respect His process, that we learn how to receive honor at home, that we learn how to steward things like power and authority at home first. Then the Father, who sees what you do in private, who sees and hears these conversations with Him, will reward you publicly. I encourage you today to buy into God's process for you. We all would love to have a little bit more public success, public honor. Me personally, I would love to be on the New York Times bestsellers list, but God is developing in me the weight-carrying capacity to handle that type of blessing. Blessing is weightier than poverty. It'll always be that way, because to carry blessing, you have to have the character to steward those resources that God has released to you. So, in the words of Jesus today, He said, don't be like individuals who do things just to be seen, who do things in public just to receive honor. Be like the type of individual who can work in private, who can grind at what they do, and who can do it all for the glory of God alone. And the Father who sees your work in private will bless you publicly. Thank you again for joining us today. Remember to visit our website for more information about donations, guest speaker scheduling. I'm available for that. And bulk orders for churches and leadership teams. Links are provided in the description for this video. A link for my Amazon author page, as well as a link for our website, is provided in the banner image on our channel at the top right-hand corner. I declare blessings on you, blessings on your family, on your children, on your children's children, to the 1,000th generation. God has plans to prosper you. Remember, you're created for impact as you learn more about your biblical identity, purpose, and destiny. God bless you is our prayer.